Hi, Ron Sheets. You're getting this video because you had requested my 7 Lies report, and in that report I make the statement several times that all marketing problems, all advertising problems, all business problems are math problems. What I want to do in this short video is go over the critical math where that really applies to that statement. So I want to talk about and use as example the dental practice that has $1 million of undone treatment that has been presented. $1 million worth of undone treatment presented, but not closed, not moved into production. So I want to take that $1 million, and based on the American Dental Association's data, they report that each patient in value to a practice in the first year, in 1 year's time, is $653. So that's what a patient they value to a practice. I'm not arguing that that's accurate. I'm just using data that is widely available. Yours may be higher, yours may be lower, but for this example, I'm going to use the ADA's data on that. So if we take the $1 million worth of treatment that's been presented and pare that down based on first year value of $653, that brings us down to an idea that we're talking about a universe of about 1,531 patients. And that's over a, this number, by the way, is a 24-month number that I'm using, because many of the practices that I'm working with have that kind of number over 24 months. And I'm using 24 months because it is a viable time period by which we can go back into this presented undone treatment and it's still viable, meaning we can still get it some way or some form. Maybe not in the way it was presented, but it's still treatment that is viably available to us. So if we have $1 million in undone treatment, and the ADA says that each patient first year value is $653, that gives us 1,531 patients. That represents the treatment this has been presented to. So if we take that and we divide that by 2, that brings us down to 766 patients per year. This is 2 years worth. I divide it in half because I want to see how many are we dealing with in a 1-year period. I'm trying to break this down to the smallest denominator, and this is very conservative. So if we're working with an idea that roughly 766 patients go through the practice in a year, have been presented treatment, but do not accept. 700, so this is lost opportunity. 766 patients. Let's take that and let's divide that out by 12 now, because there's 12 months in a year. That brings us down to 64 patients per month. And again, average numbers. But we have a roughly 64 patients per month going through the practice that have been presented treatment but don't take action on it. They don't move forward with the treatment plan that you've presented. So let's take and work with that 64 patient number. So if we have 64 patients who we've presented treatment to and they've not accepted, if you follow just a general 80-20 rule, the 80-20 rule is a pretty universal rule. It states that you're going to get 80% of your income from 20% of the work you do. You will get 20% of the income from 80% of the work you do. So using that generally accepted rule, if we have 64 patients that have received treatment plans but not accepted, roughly 20% of those patients are still viably active to get into treatment. And of those 64 patients, that gives us 13 patients. So that's 13 patients out of there. 20% of them are still viably available to us as treatment that can be moved into production. 80% of them will have either had it done someplace else, They will have decided not to do it. They'll have taken some other course of action. The key point here is 13 patients are still viably available to move into production. Again, applying the 80-20 rule to those 13 patients, if we have 20% of those, so this is the 20% viably available to us, but 20% of these patients we can actually move into production. And that leaves us with 2.6 patients that we can move into production. So again, going back to the ADA's number, if we have 2.6 patients out of our 64, we can move into production on the treatment plans presented or a variation of the treatment plan represented to them. Each one of these is worth $653 to us. That turns into $1,300 in patient production per month out of undone treatment, which is generally seen as lost treatment. Doesn't seem like a big number, and to some practices it's not. But my philosophy is that you want to get a patient in order to get them for the long term. So we're looking at here first year value. This is per month that we can recapture out of lost treatment. If you take that and you multiply that by 12, which is the number of months, so $1,306 per month times 12, that turns into an additional $15,672 in production added, just first year value, out of undone treatment. So $15,672. Again, not a big number. However, let's look at lifetime value, which is really the critical number, is really the important number to look at. This puts cash flow into the business, but lifetime value puts equity into the business, meaning what you're going to get from that patient over the long term. So let's say that we have 2.6 patients. Let's be conservative. Let's round it down. We're going to round it down to 2 patients. All right. Sika Software, which is the largest software management company in the country, Sika Software says, based on data across all of the dental practices that they have on their system, that the lifetime value of a patient is $4,220 per patient. That's lifetime value. So if we're able to reactivate, and I'm rounding down to be conservative, if we're able to reactivate 2 patients per month out of lost treatment, and their lifetime value is $4,220, then that means that they're going to be worth on a monthly basis $8,400 per month in lifetime value. That's per month, lifetime value, meaning what additional treatment you'll get, referrals that they can bring your way, which it just multiplies. If we take that out and we multiply that by 12 months, now the number becomes staggering. And this is the really important number to look at, because if we take the 8440 times 12, that becomes an annual lifetime value of $101,280 in lifetime value added into the practice from just 2 patients per month reactivated out of undone treatment. So that $1 million that you have sitting there that's been presented but has gone undone, is not moved into production, with a follow-up system, with a smart patient follow-up system, you can convert that undone treatment into potentially over $100,000 in lifetime value based on the patient. And once you have the system in place that's activating undone treatment, you put it into the system of patients coming through that don't accept, and it just becomes automatic. And this is a significant number. So as I talked about, all business problems are math problems. This is out of 2 patients activated per month lifetime value. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. If you want to set up a discovery call on getting a smart patient follow-up system implemented in your business, go to the link on the bottom of the screen and schedule a discovery call with me. But again, remember, all business problems are simply math problems.